Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Piano Star Masterclass brought to you by Piano League. Sorry that we are starting a few minutes late. We had some technical issues, but I'm your host, Brian Lin. I think my video is not spotlighted. All right, there we go. I'm your host, Brian Lin, a professional pianist and a piano teacher. Ever since I graduated from Juilliard a few years ago, making piano education accessible to everybody has been one of my main goals. And that's why I created the series, the Piano Star Masterclass, a 30-minute Star Talk interview with the guest teacher, followed by an hour of real-time, one-on-one virtual piano lessons taught by that guest teacher. During the live stream, you can ask us any questions in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. The Piano Star Masterclass features piano experts coming from a variety of backgrounds, ranging from experienced piano pedagogue, professional concert pianists, to conservatory professors, giving you a ton of different, fresh perspectives. And of course, you, your child, or your student can also sign up to be a performer for these masterclasses and get a chance to perform for a live audience. To sign up, simply go to thepianoleague.com/masterclass. Now, I'd like to introduce our guest teacher today. A winner of over 20 first prize music awards, Dr. Alexandria Le is a performer, teacher, and arts advocate who is passionate about the impact music makes on people's lives. Dr. Le gave her solo debut at Carnegie Hall as a laureate of the Pro Musicist International Award. She is a highly sought after collaborator and has performed with principal players of the world's leading orchestras and ensembles. In New York City, she was a pianist with Ensemble Connect, the performing and teaching artist ensemble of Carnegie Hall in the Juilliard School. She serves on competitions and grant panels and guest speaks, teaches, and performs at universities worldwide. She is also a designated Yamaha artist, of which there are fewer than 100 named classical pianists worldwide. After establishing a career of over 16 years in New York, she returned to her hometown of Las Vegas, where she's joining us from today to make a difference, where she will also be teaching at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas as a sabbatical replacement in fall 2020. So everybody, please join me in welcoming Dr. Alexandria Le.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. I think, yeah, we're having a little bit of delays on everything today.
That is fine. And Las Vegas is really windy, unusually windy right now. So my internet connection might be in and out a little bit, but it's really nice to be here. And I'm really happy to talk about my topic with you. And I like that you're pronouncing my last name in a Chinese way. Most of my students just call me Lee, Dr. Lee. So.
Dr. Lee, I see. But do you have a preference? I could always change.
Lee is easiest, except of course my last name is just with one E. Of course,
right.
You know, just make life easy.
Sure. All right. So, of course, my first question naturally for you was going to be why this topic, right? So, for those of you who don't know, our teachers actually get to pick whatever they want to talk about for these Piano Star Masterclasses. So I was wondering, why do you think, why was this topic so important to you?
Oh, I'm choosing to talk about musicality because it is extremely important to me. It's what makes music come alive. It's about expressing the intention behind the music. And, you know, I think if someone waits too long to think about musicality and how to express themselves and what actually makes something musical, then they might not find the emotion behind it, or they may not even understand how they're emoting it. So Brian, I mean, when you were younger, did you ever play through a piece and it was fantastic? Like you're like, wow, like that was so great. And then you tried it again 5 minutes later and it just didn't feel the same for some reason?
Not just 5 minutes later, sometimes, 5 years, 5 years later,
5 years later.
Still don't feel great. But yes, to your question,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I remember that happening to me when I was younger. I was like, wow, that run through was so awesome. And I was relying a lot on my musical intuition and then not realizing there are actually components that I was pulling together to make it successfully, musical and I could convey everything behind the music. So this whole talk is about what those ingredients are in the music and what makes up musicality. And we learn about those ingredients so we can manipulate them, so we can get the desired effect of musicianship and musicality. So really, at the end of the day, for me, it's what makes playing piano interesting. There was a time when I actually was practicing and just going, okay, well, I'm just gonna do a crescendo here because it says so, and not understanding why. For me, it's a personal thing. I always want to know what the intent is behind the music.
Gotcha. And I guess that speaks to the title of our talk today, which is the magic, of music. What is the magic of musicality? So, since you chose the word magic, why don't you show us some of, I guess the ingredients, the intent,
Oh, yes.
whatever you call it, the basic, I guess, ingredients of the magic that you are going to talk about today.
It's really funny when I named the title, I was like, wait, I don't actually do any magic. I cook, I do everything else. Like I'd rather talk about ingredients. But what I'm going to have for you is I'm going to share. I don't know if you can see that. You see
Yes,
that, right?
I see that.
The magic musicality. So there are different ingredients, and it's really important. Oops, let me just play that really quick. Yeah. All right. So there's musical components. I like to break this apart for all of my students. So whether you're just starting out, this is week 2 or 3 of your piano lessons, and as you learn, as you go along in your piano lessons, music lessons, you learn more and more about these components. But the first thing, obviously, that's needed, the little guy's going to whiz it up, is the notes with the melody and harmony. I mean, that's so fundamental and basic, but it's true. It's like we need our melody, we need our harmony. Depending, if we're talking about harmony, it really matters if it's, if we're sitting on the tonic chord, a major chord for a long time. And so we'll get into that a little bit more. Like, let's see what else there is. Articulation. That's a very important musical ingredient or component. So that's the length of the note, whether you're playing it short or long, and then you can start adding, a little bit more imagination behind it. Like, is it short because I'm anxious? Things like that. Let's see. We have rhythm, which is really, it defines like a groove. Did the composer write a lot of 16th notes? Is he trying to convey, he or she trying to convey a sense of urgency? We'll see. What else do we have? Meter. Yep. So whether we're in 3/4 or 2/4, you're talking about the difference between, let's say, a waltz or a march, and the way that we approach waltzes and marches are very different. And I hope, that comes across. And then we also have dynamics. Of course, that's a huge component. I mean, if you don't have dynamics, then it's like watching someone just yell at you or whisper at you for a whole hour, which, it adds a lot of musicality. Then we also have range, whether you have a high or low sound. I mean, I don't think jazz would be as effective if you played it up here. You're like, oh, Baby Shark, versus, yeah.
Right.
And then we have the tempo. Yep, then we have the tempo. Here we go. The tempo and the speed, which is the speed. But you want to mix those ingredients together for a more layered effect. So, for instance, this is just really boiling it down to basics. Obviously, there are more cerebral kind of thinking that you can put into this. But this is a beginner topic. Like there's only one star on my poster. So I'm like, let's try to break it down.
Well, it's
So
looking like alchemy to me now. You're mixing stuff together.
oh no, I know. Look, I have like a little event. Yes, I know. Now we got this. It's just like, for instance, if you think about the notes and dynamics, you want to start thinking about a musical sentence. Phrasing is an incredibly important component of musicality. I liken it to if someone is playing music and they're not thinking about phrasing, it's exactly like reading a book to me and you're pronouncing every single word, every single letter of a word, not thinking of a whole sentence, and soon if you're reading me a very complex book, like a Charles Dickens novel, I'm not going to hang in there for very long. So we want to do this to make music interesting, not only for yourself, but for the people listening. So, phrasing is super important because you start learning about, depending on, harmonies, like where does your musical sentence end, and of course you have a high point and a low point, in music. So, within a phrase, even just, if you're taking, if you take music lessons, you're going to have your teacher say, well, what's the shape of the line? What's phrasing? And I can tell you that when I was younger, when I was starting out, I was like, shape, like a physical shape, so they're just terms that, will draw you into a more magical realm of music making. It's so that's where it becomes a little bit more heady and imaginative and cerebral. Oh, and look at this formula. Okay. Like if you put together a whole lot of what we had in the previous page, the notes along with the tempo, depending if it's fast or slow, dynamics, articulation, range, you can come up with the mood or character. I mean, you basically come up with the, depending on what you find as a detective in your music, you can really come up with the mood and characters. So you're going to start tweaking some of these things. And Brian, I have a little bit of a surprise for you in a little bit where you'll get to tweak some things. Yeah.
I love surprises.
Yeah, just hang on. Yeah. Before we actually get to that, we have something. Okay, so this next page is really important to me. So, Brian, have you ever had a student where you ask them, like, what is the mood? What's the character of the piece? Like, if you were to describe a person within the music, do you often hear happy? It's happy, right?
Happy, yes.
And then that's when or it's sad. And, life is so much more rich than that. If I just went, I'm happy today, I'm sad, it's what we call binary and very uninteresting. So I came up with two columns, and I don't know, what's another word that we can come up with happy? I came up with tons. Let's see the first column. And by the way, you can come up with your own. I always had a thesaurus. I mean, nowadays we have our phones, so all you have to do is go, synonyms of, well, let's just take a look. Yeah, that's one column, right? We have joyful, elated, eager, ecstatic, jovial, euphoric, bold, extroverted, jolly. Okay, already even the way that I say it is a lot more interesting than just happy. Oh, I'm not even done. There's a second column. Humorous, carefree, delightful, content, charming, cheerful, blissful, serene, buoyant. I mean, suddenly music becomes multi-dimensional. It becomes so alive when you start thinking about these descriptive, these ways to describe music. All right, sad. Brian, what's a favorite sad word of yours? Like when you're like...
A favorite sad
do you have a
word.
good one? Yeah. Like that you like to tell your students. I have a couple of...
Maybe I don't know. Somber.
Somber. Ooh.
Yes.
You know what? I think that might be in the first It's in the second one. I know
Oh,
it
it's in the
is.
second one. Okay.
See, it's on the top of the second one. I
Okay.
mean, that's how
Yes.
important it is.
Right.
Yeah, they're
So
sort of
that would
like
be mine. Yeah.
yeah, it actually goes from kind of you know, really like in a dark space, like despairing, to just a little doleful, a little wistful. So these are really good words, I think, that any musician, no matter what level they're at, they can pull from this bank of feelings. I mean, these are feelings, and of course, like the more that we experience life, we come through a lot of these emotions a lot more. So, yeah.
Right.
And and then after, thinking of those elements, there are a few extra things which are super important, and I always ask my students all the time. One is get the background scoop on the piece. This was a real living person who composed your piece of music, and you actually have the responsibility to be like the actor or actress reading the screenplay. You have to have it come alive. Otherwise, you're just sitting there reading the notes and not understanding how to embody the whole character. So, questions that you can ask yourself is, what's the time period? The way that you play a piece in the Baroque period, like Bach, is not the same way that you're going to play Chopin, and of course, like this is okay, if you're in an intermediate level, I don't know, there's actually even Ode to Joy in level 2A of the Faber series. So, that's when you can actually start, as a teacher, you can start describing Beethoven, and my beginning students just love hearing about, really things that happened over 200 years ago. They actually seem to find an interest when you make it interesting. What other pieces are by the composer? So I love the fact, for instance, Ode to Joy is transcribed. And it's really important to tell the student or have the student even listen to what Ode to Joy sounds like. Part of the imagination of musicality, the magic of it is trying to emulate other instruments. Piano, it's just a piece of wood and string and a hammer, and it hits it, and you're like, what, how can I make it sound like a violin today, or at the same time as my cellos, or how do I make it sing? Then other questions or other things that you can dive into at like a detective are the influences. Dance is really influential to music. You think about all of the reasons why composers were writing music back in the day. It was for court, for people to dance to. So those are really, really important things. And then this is a little bit more heady and cerebral, but you have to know what you want first. You have to dream it. So, don't start playing it and think and and draw it out later. No, you have to answer the questions above and say, how do I sound like a stringed instrument? Or how do I sound like a vocalist? So these are just ways to make it a lot more interesting. And I know that I just threw a lot of words, and lots of colors at you guys, but at the end of the day, it's just 3 steps. What are your musical components? And what's cool, Brian, I'm so glad that this is saved, on YouTube. Like you can just pause that first, screen and just take a snapshot of it.
Right.
And then you can actually, we're going to try this out. We can take apart, like what if I played this piece without dynamics? What does that sound like? What if I played this piece at a faster tempo? How much of the musicality changes from that? Oh, instead of playing it all staccato, I'm going to play it really, like I'm stuck in mud. I'm going to play it with really like flat fingers and just like really sink into the keys. There's really fun things you can do with that. then you come up with your descriptive words for your character. That's really important to me for musicality. And then you want to get the background scoop. You want to get the context. So really, those are the components. And for me, that's what makes, honestly, what makes music super fun. Mm-hmm. So wow. This is where I need your help.
More fun stuff. This is where, more fun looking stuff.
Oh yeah. I know we only have like 5 minutes or maybe 6 minutes left, but this is where this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna give you the remote control.
Okay.
Ooh. So wait, do you? Oh, actually, before we hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. Do you want Moonlight Sonata or Fur-Elise?
I'll leave it up to you. Which one do you think works better?
Okay. You know what?
Maybe Fur-Elise. Yeah.
Fur-Elise. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Just because
there we go.
The more
everyone loves that.
The cornier one of the two, I think. Even though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're about to experience the most. Well, you may find it musical, but it's super unmusical. This is just put through a MIDI. So for people at home who don't know, like this is where you just plug in the piece into your software and the computer, and it just spits it out. So it's a little painful. I'm sorry.
It sounds very familiar for some reason. It may have to do with how many kids playing I've heard.
You know, that's the most tragic part. It's like, wait. So, okay, let's show these kids what can really happen with this. Hold on. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the wheel of musical ingredients. All right. I'm going to give you... All right, go ahead and click it. Spin that.
Am I controlling your screen now?
You should be able to. Oh yeah. Look, hands up.
Okay.
You got this.
Hold on.
I think you
you
have to click this little thing on the bottom.
Okay,
left.
Let me see if there is. Can you try to share your control again to me?
Oh yeah.
Or maybe
Or you know what? Maybe. Oh, I accidentally clicked it. That's no fun. Okay, rhythm. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up why the rhythm is important.
Okay. I did see a option for me to control it, but I see it now. Maybe I can click on the next one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, actually, you know, I do want you to go back here. Click it again. Okay. I really want you to do it.
All right. So I need to request remote control. Okay. So do you see me requesting it?
I approve it.
Okay.
I approved it.
All right. All right. Let's see. Use my. Okay. Let's see if I'm controlling it right now. Huh.
It says it's waiting. Well, I'm going to click it.
Okay.
It's too bad that you can't. Okay, dynamics. Okay.
All right.
Dynamics. This is what happened. All right. So if you recall the really beautiful, not beautiful actually, MIDI, it really had no dynamics at all. Now, if you're watching at home, I pulled up the music so you can see that there's a double P here. It's pianissimo. And so already that adds an element. So you know what? I'm just going to fast track and do dynamics plus a little phrasing with the notes and the harmony. So. I mean, that's really soft and I'm not doing too much. But you know, there's one more thing that I do want you to click, Brian.
Okay.
Here we go. Here, 1, 2, 3, click. Mood and character wheel.
All right.
Okay, see, we needed to add that too. So carefree, delightful, and charming.
All right.
And we have to do, yeah, because those kind of combine together. And so, all right, we have our pianissimo, but I felt like I was really reserved when I was playing it. So you can just start adding little things like to make it more carefree, delightful, and charming. Maybe you pick up the tempo a little bit. It's still pianissimo, but you have a sense of maybe more phrasing that undulates. Very basic phrasing, you know. So, by the way, everybody, this is wheeldecide.com. It is super fun to add into your lessons, whether you're a teacher or if you're just practicing at home and you just plug in what you want. It is super awesome. But if you said, you know, hey, like, let's see what else I'm going to focus on in my practice. Articulation, okay? Like the fact that for Elise, in this particular score, there isn't any slurring marks, but in others there are. So just, you know, keeping in mind, like, obviously, what's really important, you know, maybe like a little, oh, this is a choice moment right here. This is where you go, all right, what is my articulation going to be? You know, it's like, is it going to be sloggy? You know, so you start paying attention to those things. But I would just go back and forth if you're practicing. Obviously, practicing should be fun a little bit. Yeah, it's hard work for sure. I definitely have more moments of frustration than fun when I practice. But this is what you want to start with at the beginning, is looking at all these components. So really, right. That's all. So that's what we have. I mean, this is when you combine all these things together of your musical ingredients, then you're going to get and talking about your mood and character, you're going to get a fur-elise that doesn't sound like that MIDI, but you know, you start asking yourself, or you start noticing things like, oh, isn't it so cool that Beethoven actually starts on the third beat of like, whoa, what does that mean? Oh, it means that he wants to go somewhere. He's not stuck, you know, and it has this feeling of going forward. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we land here. The harmony gets cool. It goes to the 5, the E major chord, back to 1, you know, the minor. And then another choice moment. Then you have to get really excited as you're playing this when it goes to a major thing. So all of these ingredients help you become a better detective at the end of the day. So, right. So break apart what the dynamics are, phrasing, or articulation, the meter, even the tempo marking. We didn't get to that, you know, a little motion. So all these things make it just complete. It makes music fun for me. I mean, without this, I would not be playing piano or being a musician.
For sure. I love how the way you put, you know, such complex ideas into, you know, and dissected into such an easy to understand format. I think, would you say that because I was just thinking for people who are maybe piano lovers and you know, amateur pianists who, would you say that from a listener's perspective, that's also how they can learn to appreciate music, you know, in this kind of way, maybe pick out an element and then only listen for that, and then listen, you know, only listening to the dynamic, listening to the rhythm, and then put the mood in. Is that what they should be listening for if you're new to classical music?
Yeah, if you're new to it or even experienced listener, you know, you might not be playing it, but if you ever ask yourself the question, what makes this player, this performance different from that performance? You know, you can go onto YouTube and find a million recordings of Fur-Elise. You know, there's always this question of what were the components that made me like this performance more than the other? And so what I did was I really just broke down how you define what makes a performance beautiful or not to you. So, you know, to me, it's really similar to going to like watching or looking at a painting, right? I'm not an artist in that sense. I'm not an artist, but I go immediately, it strikes me, whoa, that is such a beautiful painting. And then, as you become more of more experienced in looking at paintings, you're going, oh, I'm noticing the brush strokes are actually like thicker here. The artist is using bolder colors than this other one. It's not as transparent, or so you start expanding your vocabulary and your understanding of what makes music the way it is. So yeah, I really loved your question, Brian, because that's, I think, what would make a whole experience better. And when I go to like symphony performances with my friends, they're like, hey, like, what should we be expecting? Things like that. I would break it apart to them, things like this. It's like, oh, you're going to listen to the momentum of the piece, the drive, the groove, this is John Adams or whatever, like you're not expecting that. It's going to be a different groove than Beethoven, which totally happened at a recent Las Vegas Philharmonic performance. People are like, I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, right. Now they're able, the people sitting with me were able to define what made them feel that certain emotion as well. Because at the end of the day, there's an emotion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just you liked my question. I liked your answer better. That's because I get questions from my so-called non-music friends. They're not in the music industry, and they always ask me, how do I don't know how to listen to this, or when I go to a concert, what do I listen for? And your answer right there is exactly what I'm gonna tell them in the future. But with that said,
yeah.
right. So with that said, time went by really fast, and we should better move on to our students, the masterclass portion of today. So for the first masterclass performer, we have Daniel. His name is Daniel, and he will be playing, I think, Clementi Sonata.
Yep.
Sonatina, Opus 36, number 3, the first movement of it. So I'll get him in. He's in the waiting room. Thank you so much for that talk, by the way. I really
my pleasure.
Appreciated the PowerPoint as well. I believe that was the first PowerPoint of the series. So
yeah.
Hi there.
All right. Hi guys.
Hi. How are
Hi
you?
Daniel. How are you?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll turn off my video, but I'll be listening. All right.
Okay. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Daniel, I'm Dr. Lee or Dr. Alex, whichever one you prefer. I hear that you're going to be playing the Sonatina by Clementi, the first movement, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay, there's just a little bit of a delay, but I'm sure it'll all come through. So I have my music ready. Go. Whenever you're ready, Daniel, go ahead and start.
Should I rename myself to Daniel Tiger, or is this okay?
I almost called you by your parents' name, Mike and Carolyn, but I'm going to remember that you're Daniel. We're all good. We're all good. Welcome, Daniel. Yay! I really enjoyed your performance, Daniel. It must be really strange just playing just for me through a screen. But yeah, that was really wonderful. You know what I particularly enjoyed was your attention to all the staccatos that are written there and all the slurs. I'm sure that in your music, there's a lot of, I'm sure your teacher had really pointed those things out. It looks like you really have been practicing your scales too, the way that you, that you're playing those. And I also just really like your musicality. I don't know if you just watched my, my little talk about the magic of musicality, but we talked about articulation, which is, have you ever heard of that word, articulation?
I think I've heard it before, but I do not know what it means.
Yeah, it's a really big, long word, and you're doing articulation. That's like long and short notes. So that's what I really wanted to compliment you on, is how you play the staccatos, and how you're really paying attention to those kinds of things. And so I know that you have it memorized, which is awesome. Daniel, how long have you been working on this piece?
I think 2 months.
2 months, cool. Yeah, so you've only had it for a relatively short period of time. That's awesome. Daniel, could you grab your music for me so we can go through the music together? And I also, thanks, Mom. I also have it online as well. So I can share with you what I was looking at. So here we go. Here we are. So here's my version of it. You know, what is the tempo marking here? What does it say? What's the tempo marking? Where do we find that?
The tempo marking, do you mean the time signature?
It's really close to the time signature, really close. So here's the time signature.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's really close, but it's not the same thing as the time signature. It's the tempo. So it's this awesome word right here.
Oh,
have you ever?
Spiritoso. Yes.
Spiritoso. It's in your score too, right? Do you have a good? Do you have a good? Well, do you know what it means? Because it has been sitting on your score for at least a month and a half. What does it mean?
I think Sherry said with spirit.
Awesome.
Which makes sense
Exactly.
with the word.
It's those crazy Italian words. Yeah, it means with spirit. Yes. Oh, and it's Miss Sherry. Yeah, amazing teacher. You have a wonderful teacher. No wonder you were playing. See, I'm not biased. You literally were playing really well. So with spirit, that sounds like it's very opposite of something like gloomy and sad, right? Spirited means very upbeat and cheerful. I think you might be ready, Daniel. Try this again. Try from the opening. I like that you're doing the forte, so you're doing your dynamics. Could you maybe play it? Well, let's see. If we want it more spirited, do you think I'm going to ask you to play slower or faster?
Maybe faster.
Maybe faster? Okay, let's try that. Let's try it a little bit faster. Which doesn't mean rush. I know that you're not rushing at all. And that's the other thing that you were really good at, was keeping a very steady beat, very steady tempo. But let's make the tempo go a little faster, okay? So let's see what that might sound like in your head. Just a little bit. Daniel. I'm going to stop you right there. How did that feel for you? It felt good. Did you feel like you could keep up with that? It wasn't too fast, right?
No, not too fast.
So what I heard on my side, Daniel, is that it actually had a wonderful movement to it, meaning, you're giving us a tour guide of this Clementi Sonatina. It's like, you're like Daniel, the tour guide. You're like, hello, welcome to my spirited tour guide of the Sonatina Opus 36, number 3. And what happened was you actually let the tour move along. You didn't get stuck. What happens is I like that you didn't speed it up too much. It was just enough to where you could really feel it in 4, but it rolled along. And what ends up happening, Daniel, is I noticed that you did a wonderful job in your performance too of phrasing, meaning shaping that da 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 bum bum. And when you move it just a little bit more, it really helps. Daniel, I'm going to ask you, where do you think, if we have this as the beginning of our musical sentence, okay, so we have, let's think of that like a welcome on board to Daniel's tour guide. Where do you think there's an actual stop? Where do you think you would actually have the finish of your sentence? If we're reading maybe reading this like a book maybe. Where do you think it?
Maybe after in the right hand when it goes F G G G G.
Oh, that's a really, really, really good educated, I think, guess. Because why do you say there F sharp G G G G? Do you think that's like a full? Go ahead.
Well, I think well. So,
does something happen after that?
Sherry in my music put a diminuendo there, and I think of it as maybe like the first section, maybe. I don't know to phrase it because but I think
Daniel,
of it as ending something with the diminuendo, and then there's like a rest in the right hand. So that's like a pause, and then we're getting ready for the next thing, I guess.
Yes. So Daniel, what I like your musical intuition. So I like that you said, all right, when you add a diminuendo right here, what ends up, let me get rid of that. Go away. When you add a diminuendo right here, what ends up happening is you are somewhat, you're shaping the line. It's as if you're saying, once upon a time in a faraway land, there lived a troll, or a happy troll. Okay, this could be like the end of your sentence, but try it thinking of it as a comma, because you know what? Something we don't want to actually stop until we don't want to do a hard stop until we go through this really cool part as well. So can you just shape it like, keep going. The line is not done yet. Do you think it's done right there because there's one of these? Do you think it's done?
No, because
no.
It's that again in like an echo.
Okay. Yep. Okay, let's see where it stops.
And then at the end of the first theme, end of the.
I love that you actually knew the word theme. Yes, this is where it ends. That is awesome. Okay. So that's why we don't want to take too long in dwelling, or take too long in the tempo. You're able to get through your whole first sentence. Daniel, from here to here is your first sentence. Could you imagine that it was that long? Okay, here's the other part. Daniel, you're ending your theme like as if it was the end of your whole story. Because do you know why I think you felt that way? This is what you did. I was ready to clap. I was like, if someone doesn't know this piece, they're gonna be like, bravo. And then we're like, wait, that was just our first sentence. So maybe, Daniel, try not to take too much time there. You definitely want to have a feeling of the closure of the theme. You want to make it sound like, hey, it's strong, it's powerful. Oops, sorry. Oh, and what happens next? Okay, this is definitely a different sentence, right? Right here. Do you know what this, can you actually play from here? So after the first sentence, let's hear that part. And let's just hear it. I'm going to stop you, but go ahead and play a little bit of it. Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Good. Okay. I'm going to you're actually doing a wonderful job in changing the character from the first theme. You're getting a little bit stuck. Can you make sure that you actually have a little bit more of a shape to where you're going towards that? And oh, you know what's really interesting is you actually did it quite beautifully, but you know what ended up happening, Daniel? You went thunk on that note. You did the staccato, but it was a little bit, it was funny. It was like, I think that the line is not done yet. Like you have to actually reach for that top. So we're talking about really musical things, and I think you can actually do it. So yeah, don't go thunk. Don't actually go down on your, don't hit it too hard, even though it's a staccato. Can you start again right here? So da 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 dum. Good, Daniel. Now try it one more time. And that was you did it perfectly with not going thump on your staccato. I would like, if you can actually start from your G major scale. What dynamic do we have there? What is in your score? Maybe you should have the same as mine, but what does that say?
With the G major scale, there's a crescendo, and then wait, there's two G major scales.
Okay, so I think the one with the crescendo, it goes all the way up to do you have an F? You have a forte, right? Yeah, I would love for you to exaggerate that a little bit more. You might actually hear in your head that it's forte enough. I would like you to really reach for that. Be like dum bum ba da 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 bum, and keep up the forte all the way. I mean, you can have little shapes after within the forte, but and then the piano would be so much more effective. And then back to piano. Daniel, watch out for your intervals of a sixth. It was like you're going along and then suddenly you get a kind of a bump in the road because of that. It still has staccatos, okay? So just watch out for the staccatos right here. So they're still light. And I believe if you have a crescendo, Daniel, go to forte. So I think the general, two things, give me more dynamics and keep the tempo up. So let's take a look at that. Can you play from maybe from the first G major scale? And then really show me that you're gonna bring out that forte. Good, Daniel. You know, one of the trickiest parts of piano playing is that the lower that you get on a piano, it probably tends to get what? As you go lower on the piano, does it get louder or softer, do you think?
I think maybe softer. That's what
Oh,
happens with
so
the recorder, I know. Because I
oh,
play recorder.
that's actually, you know, on a recorder, you're right. As it gets lower, it gets softer. Well, try that out. Actually, just if you're playing with the same weight on the top of the keyboard, you know, versus the bottom, which one just sounds louder? Which side sounds louder?
I actually would say the bottom one.
Yes. Yep. So, all right, this creates a problem for pianists like you and me. You know what happens? Your left hand always tends to be louder than your right hand. So it's like, oh gosh, you know, where's the melody though in this music? Where's the melody? It's in the right hand, right? So we have just the plain physics going against us because on a piano the strings are longer. So it's going to be louder as well. So guess what? We want to make sure that we play all these things. Daniel, if you let your left hand do what it wants to do, it's going to be loud. It's just going to automatically be louder. I don't think that's very interesting. Right? It's like, shh, shh, shh. You know, you gotta shush the left hand, right? So can you try from here? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna stay really close to the keys. You can use, you know, your relaxed wrist. You're doing a really good job, but be even lighter in your left hand, okay? Because you have to try extra hard because on the piano, the bass is just lower. All right, can you try, let's just end with, go ahead and try that from that part. Yeah, that's already a little better. Can you just try your left hand? Oh, it's super hard. So we're just going to keep it really close to the keys. Yes, yes, I knew you could do it. Good. So you're going to feel like your left hand is playing with 15%, 10% of the weight. I mean, that's not a lot. And well, maybe we can balance it more. Maybe 25% of your weight on your left hand. And then you want to feel like the 75% of your weight is on the right side. I mean, you don't actually have to tilt, but you really want to feel like you're calibrating. That means adjusting your weight. Otherwise, your poor left hand is going to really overpower it. Okay, so let's finish up. You can apply the same kinds of things to the second part of the piece. So why don't we just end it one more time? Let's start from your G major scale. And left hand, 25%. Very little. Yep. Oh, and the piano right there. Daniel, shh, like, shh. It's piano. Yeah. Good. Oh, Daniel, I really like how you know where the slurs are and everything. One final thing is the crescendo in the end. Start soft. So if you just hear, it's like, oh, we're getting to G major, you know, so we really want to feel like we're growing. And Daniel, when you finish out the last 3 measures for me, it reminds me of like a little gnome or something. It's like a little fairy or a gnome. It's just so impish. It's like scurrying around. I really like your spiritoso. So one more time from here. Good. There's only one thing that would be so easy for you to fix. So this is my score right here. So every time you crescendo, this is the soft, well, actually right here's the softest. Here, I need to give, annotate, give me a second. There we go. Okay. So this is the softest, a little more, a little more. And you got to commit, Daniel. You have to commit. These last 2 need to be the loudest, okay? So you can't drop the D's. So the D's, bup, 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 bum, bum, bum. And then it'll be wrapped up and perfect, okay? So go ahead and play that one more time. One more time. And so you want to terrace and layer your D's, all right? Go ahead. Yep. Yeah. Did that bit weird at first. You did it. Here, try it one more time. It'll feel better and better every time. This is what practicing does. Yeah, that's what I call an ending. Good job. So I think the things to really work on with this piece is just making sure you commit to your dynamics. So it's like remembering exactly, where your dynamics are. And you know what I also like, Daniel, is that you follow the dynamics immediately. It's what we call, another Italian word, subito piano. Have you ever heard that word before, subito?
No.
Yeah, it's spelled Subito. And what that means, it means suddenly. So that's sudden, right? It's like suddenly soft. And then where's another subito? Oh, yeah. Actually, I didn't even play that well right then. Whoa, that is the hardest subito one of all because you have to do it so quickly. So it's right here. Okay, so even though it doesn't actually have the word subito in it, do you see how the forte keeps going from here all the way? And you got to keep it going, and then you have to like pull the rug out under and be like, okay, you have to be super soft. So that is what makes this, that's all you need to do to make this even more exciting and spiritoso. You're doing a wonderful job already, Daniel. And the fact that you've had this for less than 2 months, like, great job on it. Yeah, it's very lively. So yeah, you're gonna work on your dynamics, and then making sure, what's the other thing? Making sure your left arm and your left hand is what? Louder or softer?
A little softer.
Yeah. Yep. So always in the back of your head, you have to be like, okay, left hand, behave. Okay. Otherwise, it's gonna be like, no one wants to hear that, right? So yeah. Good job, Daniel.
Good job, Daniel. Good job. Thank you
I
so
really
much
loved
for
hearing.
performing for us.
Yeah, I loved hearing him. Good. Yeah. It was...
Great. All right. So let me do this. All right. Great. Okay. So I think we are ready for the next performers. And his name is also Alex. He is Alexander, and we'll get him in. And he'll be playing, I think, Chopin Waltz in B minor. All right. So Alex, hi Alex, you can turn on your video. Oh, hi. That was quick.
I was watching. Great.
Oh, great. So now that if Alex, if Dr. Lee say something about the classes before, then you'll know, right?
Yeah, I played that one before.
All right, great. All right. Okay, so I'll leave it up to you guys again. I'll be listening.
Yeah, stop camera and then yeah.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
We do have. Well, I'm excited to meet another Alex, and also your last name is really similar to mine too. Gosh, it was meant to be. So you're playing the Chopin Waltz, and you're looking very snazzy, just like Daniel. You both dressed up really nicely. Thank you. So I have the music all ready to go. Let's hear your Chopin, and I'm just gonna pull up the music. Go for it.
Alex, can you actually not do that until later, because then we won't be able to see see him play. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, I was talking about Dr. Lee. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Oh, I didn't realize it did that. Okay, great. Yay! Daniel, or no, Dan was the last one. Alex, how could I forget my own name? You're not pulling up for some reason. Brian, for some reason, is pulling up, so I can't see you. Pin video. I'm just going to pin you. There we go. So awesome job, Alex. That, you know what, I'm really glad to hear you perform for me. I really like how you have this sense of all these slurs and how they all come together for a phrase. How long have you been working on this piece?
About 2 months.
About 2 months? Okay, you're doing a wonderful job. Is this how many Chopin pieces have you played before?
Let's see, A minor, well, B minor also, F major, I think that one's G minor, C minor, and I learned a new nocturne, which was C sharp minor.
C sharp minor. Okay, well, Alex, whoa, 6. Alex, I'll be ready for your album debut. Yeah, I'm going to purchase your Chopin album debut because you know so much Chopin. It's amazing. Okay, so I can tell that you're familiar with the sensibility. It's what we call the style of Chopin. Can you tell me how this piece starts? Like, you know, for those who are at home and haven't ever seen the music, it was actually why I wanted to pull up the music. Yeah, you're all set. Look at that.
You can do that now. Yeah, you can screen share now.
Yep. No, I'm just like, yep. Here we go. Cool. All right, Alex. So this is my edition. This is the text edition. So that means this is what Chopin had written. There's no other edits. Wow.
Wow, mostly
So,
actually.
Is it different?
No, I said mostly the same actually, even the dynamic.
Mostly the same. Good. Oh, good. You know,
Yeah.
it's really kind of neat when you know what we're going to do, Alex? We're going to play detective in this piece. We're going to uncover why Chopin is such a genius. Okay, there are some things in here that he wrote that if it wasn't Chopin writing it, it would have been so different. What's the first note that he writes? Okay, he writes an F sharp, and he writes an accent on it. Okay, cool. But you know what's really interesting
I think
yeah.
Like usually if I play songs, like it usually like the first note usually is on like some of them like I played starts on the what's that called, like it's B minor, right? So most like songs will start on the letter B.
Yes, good. Okay, so let me put some you're right. So if it's in B minor, I'm so glad that you know that it's in B minor. When it's on the first note of the B minor scale, for instance, if it's B, it's called the tonic. Have you ever heard that before? Tonic?
Yes, tonic.
Okay, tonic. There we go. So this one does not start on the tonic, huh?
Yeah, starts on the fifth.
On the fifth.
Yeah, the dominant.
Yep. So there we go. We know that tonic and the dominant. All right. You are understanding your harmony, which is why you're playing this so well. So we got the harmony. You know what's also, so what happens when he starts on the dominant? Let's keep figuring it out. Why is it so neat that it doesn't start on B? You know, what is the feeling when we start on the 5? You know what's interesting? Imagine, I don't think you can imagine this because I'm sure you've practiced this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So you know how it goes. But imagine if someone has never heard this piece before. Imagine that feeling, right? It's like, whoa, maybe you almost expect, you almost, maybe you're like, are we in F sharp major? Who knows? No, we're in B minor. So I love that you know the harmony. Good. That means I can pick on you some more. Cool. So, and really get down into details. All right. I think that what also makes Chopin so compelling here is the fact are we starting on the downbeat of the piece?
Wait, what's the downbeat again?
1. It's just 1. Like so there's 3 counts in a waltz, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What do we call this one? At the very beginning of a piece, what do we call it? If it's not the downbeat, it's a
upbeat.
It's the upbeat. Good, yeah. So
the second,
good.
It's the second. It starts on the second or third. So in this case, it's the third because there's no beat behind it. That's the.
So I love that because what happens is it suspends us all on the 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And there's a nice little accent on it, which I like how you play it. You're not striking down, but you're just lifting it. Can we just have you? Okay, so I want you to have that start again. And you're noticing that it starts on the pickup. Can you actually have that help you get through the line a little bit more? So what that means is we're going to be thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Allow the 3 to kind of go wee, into the next beat. Let's see how that sounds. Ba da 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 dee. Ta da 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 da. Ta. Okay, wait a second. Another cool thing, Alex. How many times does he repeat that dominant, that F sharp
3
in the
times.
first line? 3 times. Can it be a little bit different every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to play. You could play like a bit different every single time. Like the first time you can be like loud to soft or loud to medium, your choice. Or it could be just loud. Yeah, like you can play it differently.
I like this idea of playing differently. Why don't we try having we always want to think of a long line, okay? So a long phrase. That's what helps us look ahead in music. You know, it makes us excited to hear more. So first time, it's going to be maybe a mezzo forte. The next time, it's a little bit, tiny bit more, like put a sparkle on it. The third time, it's like, you know, if your mom was calling you to dinner, it's like, Alex, come to dinner.
Yeah.
Wait, and then she says it again, Alex, it's time for dinner. Alex, it's time for she's going to change it every time, right? Yeah. So can we have, okay, maybe Chopin wasn't thinking about dinner, who knows? But maybe it's like, my love, my heart, my everything, you know. So let's try that out. Let's have it build. And the F sharps are just going to become more special each time.
Yes.
And I do love how you start it. So just gradually grade it, you know, up more and more. Okay, that's good. You know, don't forget that the 3 can fall into the 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. So what you tend to do, I'm sorry. You don't want to always wait until you play the downbeat. You can do that later, you know, but let's just keep it a little bit more straightforward first. Because we want to get to that A sharp. That's a cool note. He already put in an A sharp. So let's mess around with it. Yep. So go ahead, try it again. Try it again. Okay, good. And then what's really tricky is the third, even though we're falling forward. The left hand is not going to do this. It's not going to physically get louder. It's just the feeling of maybe tipping forward, but we're not actually going to make this third. Okay, so I have to work really hard at not making the third chord or the third beat loud in the left hand. Yeah. So can you try that? Let's try that again.
Both hands?
Yep. So keep the left hand lower. Yep.
Yeah, now it's the same again. Let me try that again.
Uh-huh. Okay, sometimes you're successful at it. Sometimes it's not as, where it still pops out. And this is when you're successful at it. It's when you think of your third beat. Sorry, I'm going to do this. Okay, it's when you think of your third beat. Hold on. Oh, sorry, I'm moving it too much. So you're not thinking down, down, down. You don't want to ever think of down, and then you actually want to think of it scooping back towards the first. So it might be a little bit too hard to see like that, but here, watch my left hand. So what I kind of scoop 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So try your left hand. Can you try just your left hand? Yeah, it's already, yep. And you know what's interesting? That's good. And it actually has a little bit of that waltz feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, where the 2 lifts a little bit and then 3 falls back. Do you think you can incorporate your right hand? Try that with the right hand. I mean, we're moving super fast, but let's see if we can do that. Go ahead. Ba-yum, bum, ba-dum. Oh, one thing, it's also your pedal. Because you lift up the pedal, it's really easy to make it stick out. So you have to be careful that you're not doing too much of a staccato on it where it's going to go pop. I do want to move on and show you a really cool part that I love, Alex, that you're thinking of doing different things to the piece. Because how many times does this repeat? It repeats a lot. You have it's repeating quite a bit. So you want to make sure that you highlight different things. When you get to, sometimes what you can do, Alex, is bring out the bass, on the repeat. Sorry, I don't know, I did that. Can we actually start from this second ending? Da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dum. And kind of pay attention to how the bass moves. It's really pretty, and it really influences the right hand. Go ahead. Ba da dee da 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 da. Go ahead from there. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Now, try it again and let's play it a little bit differently. This time, let's really sing out the right hand. Keep it going. Ba-da-da-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. Sometimes I'm afraid this was happening in your performance, Alex, where I feel a little bit too much of the small groups where it's like da-da-da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da-dee-da. I want to hear a longer line. So try it one more time. And think of one longer phrase. Yes. And you know what the difference was? You actually, what you did was you played, I heard this, and how you actually came down. It was a longer phrase. It wasn't, G was the same as F sharp. So that's how you can actually tell if you're playing a longer phrases. You don't want to play these exactly the same way. For the sake of time, Alex, let's keep going. Can we go to your trio? And I think you take it at a faster tempo, which, it's a stylistic thing, but be careful not to go too fast because then it loses the sort of the upright character. You know what I mean? Like if you suddenly start rushing.
Yeah, start rushing, not like that circle, like when they circle, like when they dance, they have they circle.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have that circling sound. Okay.
Yes, and you don't want anyone to trip over their gowns. Don't trip over the gown. Okay, good. Alex, sorry to stop you. So you're doing the same thing where you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I want 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. More of a gentle, you can pedal it the same way, but be careful not to feel like you're gonna bounce up like this, but it's a gentle scoop back. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. Not 3, 1, 3, 1. So try that again from the trio. Okay, good. Okay, Alex.
Yes.
All right. The fourth measure, like right here. Da dum ba da dee dum ba da da dum ba da dee dum ba da. You know what's funny is I have a feeling. Well, I want to know what you're thinking at that point, because what my sense is, you're kind of like, let's get through that part. And I know that's not what you're thinking. So do you see how it's actually it's a really cool rhythm? Ba-yum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-dum. Let's keep it very noble. Let's keep it very, you're not going to rush through it. We're still going to pay attention to it. So what I want is a connection between each measure. I feel like you're doing it one off, like. You know, like 1, 1, but I want to hear. Like how it actually has a little bit of an arch to it, okay? So try again from the top of the, yeah.
Okay.
I have a plan for you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2. You have to loft have a little bit more space after the second. In the second, ba yum ba da. You're going ba ya da da. What happens is you're compressing it. You're going ba da da da.
Yeah,
But what if we go here? Waltz with me, waltz with me, waltz with me. Don't go waltz with me, waltz with me, but waltz with me, waltz, dance with me. Dance with me, 1, dance with me, 1, dance with me. So there's kind of that feeling of air in between. I know it's kind of funny to put those words, but just try from here. 1, dance with me, 1, dance with me, 1, dance with me, 1, dance with me. Just try that. Just try that measure. How does that feel?
a bit better. Yeah, like not too rushed.
So that, yes. And also what ends up happening is it sounds like when you take a little bit of time, you're really treasuring that jump of a sixth. So keep working on that. That was really good. One final thing I wanted to point out as we run out of time is, I got to share the screen again. There's, you have to notice when Chopin indicates different things that you don't expect. When have we ever seen the beat 3 tied over to beat 1? It never happens, right? Do you see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Yeah. It's like, wow, everything is separated. Da-dum, ba-yum, ba-yum. Wait, what happens here?
The 3 connects to the 1.
Oh, you know what? That's a big deal. Because in this whole piece, he doesn't have that.
That's like really unusual.
Yes, and this is where, as we're doing our little detective work as to as to what's like odd or interesting about this piece, this is a moment. Yes. So can you actually start wherever is a good place for you? Maybe back up a little bit.
25. Let's start 25.
Okay.
So that's places that
The F sharp. Or 26. 26 also works. Or actually, I'm sorry, 29 should work. Go ahead. Just find a spot before it.
Yeah, but like ours is different, so I'm trying to find like which part you are. Let's try this part, like start from here.
Yep.
Like the left hand's like.
Perfect.
Okay, found it?
Yep.
Yes, good. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, like.
Yes. Do you know what happens then? So this is where we get to have fun, Alex. Sometimes, well, most of the time you do a wonderful reach. It's very natural to go by da 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 to stretch, because if you think about singing it, we have to take time to reach for that da ya da 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 be da dee. But then you have to slow down the momentum as you get through here, because wow, you actually did it pretty well. Hey, it looks like we have a smiling face there. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so if you take too much time right here, then it takes away from this. So you have to be careful, okay? So one more time. And by the way, you don't always have to bring out that bass, but one of the repeats you should, just because you're trying to, paint a different picture every time. You don't want to give people the same thing. One more time from the same spot, from the F sharp. Yeah. Oh, you know what you do? I broke it down. You stretch by yum, by, and then you slow again right here. So you're stopping da ya da dum, da ya da 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 dum. So be careful. Be careful not to do too.
To what?
Don't do two slowdowns within the same measure. So go right into the one. Go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And then the momentum goes on.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let's start from that place again.
Good. And yeah, and I'm already hearing that you're paying attention to that bass. And that's really important. One final thing is, can you make sure that this, not just the accent, sorry, that you have bum ba da 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 dee 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 da da da. You're gonna show different shapes. I feel like it again, Alex, you have just keep an eye out that you're not just paying attention to this, playing that, and playing this exactly the same. Okay, so you always want to have maybe this one's a little bit more than this, or maybe this one's a little bit more. You have to decide depending on the harmony.
Yes.
Can we do it one last time?
Yes.
One last time.
Yeah, and then after that, can I squeeze a question?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, that sounds more like it.
Yeah. I love that you caught yourself. Yes. Good job. You know, Alex, I love that you're using your ears. You are your own, you're always critiquing yourself, which is how we practice. It's really good. Oh, and Alex, have you ever recorded yourself? Oh, I know that you recorded yourself playing this for the audition to play for me, but do you actually, in your practice, do you actually record during your practice sessions and play back what you sound like?
Like sometimes when I actually are like really like stumped, I actually record myself and just see, like, not just like when I'm playing, think about that, because that'll like distract me. So yeah, like recording's a really good idea.
Yeah, because the recordings don't lie, do they? The recordings are like, whoa, I thought I did that dynamic, or I thought I did this. Nope, the recording's never gonna lie. So yeah, Alex, it really sounds like you're doing a lot of good work in how you practice. Yeah, so good job. You had a question for me. What's your question?
Like on the first page, I don't know if you have like the first page, like this part.
Yep.
Like I know, like this is more like music theory now. It's like this is 3/4, right? Like it's supposed to be like strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, right? Like is it supposed to be like like that, or like is there like an exception?
There are exceptions, yes, especially. I want you to think about, this is the most musical thing you can do. We want to not be stuck on thinking strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, but actually what ends up happening is you think too much throughout the bar line. So I'm going to screen share one more time and show you how you should actually slur it. And okay, so even though do you see how it actually goes past the bar? Da 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 ba yadi. I want you to think of the slur starting from here. Ba yadi da 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 yadi da da dee gee. So you're actually going to reach from the and into the one. And guess what? This is exactly what Chopin indicates from the very beginning. He's like, I don't want you to get stuck on the strong, weak, weak, because what is the first thing he not draws, but puts down? The three propelling itself. So yes, there's the exception. Good job. High five through virtual, because we really want. Sorry, I can't read this. Yeah, it's in front of me, actually. You want to actually go through, sing through the bar line. Sorry. Oh, one last comment, Alex. Work on your transitions to close out the idea, to close out the phrase. And then you close out the phrase on beat 2. 3, 1, 2. Do you see how, it's so lovely that Chopin says, no, we're not going to go strong, weak, weak, strong, but we're going to go strong, weak, bye, strong, weak, bye. So that's what I want you to take away, is that feeling of crossing the bar line and not hopping off of that third beat. That was your biggest thing. Yeah.
Thanks.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Cool. Great job, Alex. It was a pleasure hearing you.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Great job. Great job, Alex. Very, very good. And thank you for making the time to participate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're bowing. Yes. We must acknowledge.
Yay.
You're bowing. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. See you, Alex.
Yep.
Bye, Alex. Take care. Good luck.
Bye. Okay. All right. Wow.
Students were awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? That was so fun. And I know that we're over, but you know, that's part of piano teachers' life. We always get
We're a little
we,
too
we
passionate.
get lost in time when we are enjoying the music,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's that happens to everyone. But thank you to our audience for sticking with us and
Yeah.
watching, and particularly thank you, Alex, for coming on and really sharing with us such wisdom and such, you know, really useful, I would say, useful information for everyone. So thank you again.
Great. Oh, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Brian. It was really fun.
All right. So with that, oh, one more thing. If audience, if you want to learn more about Alex, you can go to her website, right? AlexandriaLe.com, LE, that is. And the Piano Star Masterclass happens every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that would be, you know, 5 p.m. Pacific. And for more details, you can go to our website at thepianole.com/masterclass. And last but not least, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more piano content. And with that, I think we finished today's episode. So thank you guys for watching again. Stay safe, happy practicing, and I'll see you next one. See you next Tuesday. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Let me just play that ending outro. I'm having trouble finding it. Oh, there we go. This is how we end. There we go.